Alright, everyone. I need you to listen to me very carefully. If you are invested in the Iraqi Dinar, or if you've ever been promised a life-changing fortune from a simple currency exchange, then you absolutely cannot afford to miss what I'm about to tell you. Because right now, on social media, in dark corners of the internet, the hype is back. There are whispers, no, there are shouts, of a major revaluation happening in 2025. Get it now before it's too late, they scream, pointing to televised financial news discussions as their proof. I see the videos. I read the posts. And today, I'm going to rip back the curtain on this entire narrative to show you the cold, hard, and ultimately disappointing reality. This isn't a get-rich-quick story. This is a masterclass in financial psychology, where hope is weaponized and old news is recycled as breaking intel. The simple, brutal fact that the hype machine doesn't want you to know is this: the Iraqi dinar is not secretly preparing to jump to a value of $1, $2, or $3. It is, and has been for years, intentionally held at an official rate of approximately 1,300 dinar to just one single US dollar. That is the central bank's stated peg. Every single breathless update you see is forced to navigate around that immovable, inconvenient truth. Let's analyze the source of this latest frenzy: the televised discussions. Here is the critical twist that changes everything. When you strip away the dramatic music and the all-caps text, what these news segments are actually discussing is not a new, imminent revaluation event. They are almost always analyzing the long-term, aspirational, and politically fraught goal of the Iraqi government to eventually, someday, delete 3 zeros from the currency's nominal value. This is called a redenomination or a currency reform. It is a technical measure. It means if you have a 25,000 dinar note today, you would exchange it for a new 25 dinar note tomorrow. Your purchasing power? Unchanged. Your ability to buy a car, a house, or a loaf of bread? Exactly the same. The exchange rate would simply be adjusted to reflect this. The international value of your holdings would not magically multiply. But the gurus and the hype channels intentionally, and I believe maliciously, blur the line between this dull accounting exercise and the explosive, wealth-generating fantasy of a revaluation. They are selling you a dream based on a fundamental misunderstanding, or a deliberate misrepresentation, of basic monetary policy. Now, let's talk data and probability, because that's what separates analysis from anecdote. Based on the economic mandates of the Central Bank of Iraq, the overwhelming pressure is for stability, not radical, overnight appreciation. Their primary goal is to control inflation, facilitate trade, and manage the country's oil-reliant finances. And sudden, 40,000% revaluation would obliterate Iraq's export economy, create untold budgetary chaos, and is simply not a tool in any credible economist's playbook. So, let's assign a probability, not based on hope, but on institutional behavior. The highest likelihood scenario, let's call it a 60% chance, is continued managed stability around the current official range. A 30% chance might be given to a very gradual, painstakingly slow strengthening over a period of years, measured in single percentage points, not thousands. And that tantalized revaluation scenario? The one that fuels all the YouTube videos and the secret Facebook groups? From a data-driven standpoint, it resides in the realm of statistical noise, a possibility so remote it's not a viable investment thesis. It's a lottery ticket disguised as financial advice. And the final, most dangerous part of this digital mirage is the ecosystem it supports. For every person hoping to buy low, there's a seller charging a massive premium over the official rate for physical dinar notes. There are investment packages, certification fees, and a shadow economy built on the promise of a future that, according to all available evidence and rational analysis, is not coming. Your money isn't waiting in a bank for a trigger to be pulled. In many cases, it's lining the pockets of the very people selling you the story. So, as we hold that thought, consider this. If the Iraqi Dinar story is a closed loop of repackaged hope, where is the real, tangible, and explosive currency pressure happening right now? The answer lies not in the Middle East, but in Southeast Asia, and it tells the opposite story, one of intense, real-time economic forces creating a very different kind of financial vortex. So, if the Iraqi Dinar is a story trapped in a cycle of static hope, then the Vietnamese dong presents us with a financial thriller unfolding in real time. Forget whispered rumors and decade-old plans. What's happening in Vietnam is a raw, high-stakes drama playing out on currency trading floors and in central bank meeting rooms right now. Here's the gripping twist that most commentators miss. Vietnam isn't struggling with a weak economy. In fact, it's battling the consequences of a remarkably strong one. This is the central paradox that makes the dong story so fascinating and so instructional for any currency watcher. While you hear about the dong hovering near its record lows, and yes, as of now, it takes about 25,200 to 25,500 dong to buy $1, a significant weakening from just a few years ago. The context is everything. This pressure isn't born from collapse. It's forged in the fire of breakneck growth, global supply chain shifts, and a monetary policy tug-of-war with the United States that has created a true economic pressure cooker. Imagine a high-performance engine running so hot that keeping it cool becomes the primary challenge. That's Vietnam's economy today. As multinational giants like Apple, Samsung, and Intel pour billions into manufacturing hubs from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City, they bring in dollars, which need to be converted to dong to pay workers, build factories, and source local materials. This creates a massive, underlying demand for the Vietnamese currency, which should, in theory, make it stronger. But the world of international finance is never that simple, and a far more powerful force is pulling in the opposite direction: the relentless climb of U.S. interest rates. This is the core of the dilemma, and it's the key to understanding why a strong economy can have a weakening currency. To combat inflation at home, the U.S. Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rates to multi-decade highs. This creates a magnetic pull for global capital. Why would an international investor keep money in a Vietnamese bank account or government bond yielding, say, 5% when they can park it in ultra-safe U.S. Treasury bonds yielding over 5%? The answer is they wouldn't. So money flows out. It sells dong to buy U.S. dollars, and that selling pressure drives the dong's value down. The State Bank of Vietnam, their central bank, is then caught in an impossible bind. A policy trilemma. They want to control inflation domestically, they want to maintain a stable exchange rate for their crucial import-export sector, and they want to allow the free movement of capital. In reality, they can only choose two. Their recent moves tell you exactly what they've chosen. For months, they have been aggressively selling U.S. dollars from their substantial foreign reserves and buying Vietnamese dong in the open market. This is a direct, costly intervention to prop up their own currency's value. They've also widened the trading band, allowing the dong to move more freely, which is a signal of immense pressure. The International Monetary Fund has explicitly noted Vietnam's limited policy space in this fight. This isn't theoretical. It's a visible, expensive battle being waged with real billions, and the data shows the pressure is immense. The country's credit growth is soaring. Its real estate market has faced turbulence, and there is a constant nervous tension about whether the central bank's firepower is enough to hold the line against the gravitational pull of the US dollar. But let's zoom out from the trading desks to the streets of Hanoi and the factories in Da Nang. What does this currency pressure actually mean for everyday life and business in Vietnam? Here, the story splits into winners and losers, creating a powerful social and economic undercurrent. For Vietnam's massive export sector, the textile manufacturers, the electronics assemblers, the coffee producers, a weaker dong is a turbocharger. It makes their products cheaper for buyers in the United States, Europe, and Japan, potentially boosting sales, profits, and job creation. This export engine is a primary reason for the country's stellar GDP growth. However, for any business or individual that needs to import goods, whether it's machinery, raw materials, or consumer products, their costs just went up. For the millions of Vietnamese with loans or mortgages, particularly those tied to US dollar benchmarks, their debt burden just got heavier. And for the average citizen, the creeping cost of imported goods filters into a broader, more insidious feeling of inflation. So, while the macroeconomic indicators might show resilience, the ground-level reality is a tightening squeeze, a trade-off where national competitive gain is paid for by localized financial pain. This is the raw, unfiltered truth of a currency under siege by global forces. It's a complex, high-stakes management challenge with real consequences, a universe away from the passive, waiting game fantasy of the dinar. And it forces us to ask a much bigger question. If the mighty US dollar's interest rates can cause this much upheaval in a dynamic economy like Vietnam's, and if currencies, like the dinar, are held in a static orbit around it, what does that tell us about the global financial system itself? Is this all just normal volatility? Or are we seeing the early tremors of the full global currency shift that the most dramatic headlines promise? The answer, perhaps, lies not in looking at any one currency, but in understanding the weakening pillar at the center of it all. This brings us to the grand, all-consuming question at the heart of every sensational headline. Are we on the brink of a full global currency shift in 2025? After dissecting the static dream of the dinar and the volatile reality of the dong, we can now see the true pattern. The shift is not about secret overnight revaluations or one currency miraculously dethroning another. The real, measurable, and accelerating shift is far more profound. It is the managed decline of the US dollar's unchallenged dominance and the chaotic, risky scramble by nations and individuals to navigate what comes next. This isn't a single event. It's a process, a fracturing. Think of the global financial system as a pane of glass. For decades, the US dollar was the center, holding everything together. Now, pressure points, from geopolitical conflicts and weaponized finance to soaring US debt levels, and the kind of aggressive interest rate hikes that strain economies, like Vietnam's, are creating cracks. The currency shift is the sound of that glass straining. It's not yet shattered, but the once clear view of a dollar-centric world is now webbed with fissures. And into these cracks flows everything we discussed. The desperate hope for a dinar miracle, the brutal economic pressures on the dong, and the quiet, determined actions of central banks from Beijing to Moscow who are publicly advocating for a move away from dollar dependency. This is the backdrop against which all small currency stories are now projected, amplifying both their hype and their peril. Let's follow the largest crack in this pane: the deliberate international campaign to use alternatives to the US dollar. This is the tangible, data-driven core of the global shift narrative. When Russia settles its trade with China in yuan, when India agrees to pay for UAE oil in rupees, when Brazil and China ditch the dollar for their own currencies, these are not theoretical discussions. They are real transactions, slowly eroding the dollar's share of global trade finance and reserves. The Chinese yuan, while still tightly controlled by its government, is the primary beneficiary. Its use in cross-border payments, while still a fraction of the dollars, has grown significantly. This de-dollarization trend is driven by a powerful motive: risk reduction. Nations saw how dollar-based sanctions could become an economic weapon, and decided they needed an escape hatch from a financial system where the US holds the master key. But here is the critical twist that every investor must understand. An escape from the dollar does not automatically mean a smooth ride to safety and prosperity for other currencies. In fact, it often means the opposite, a journey into volatility, illiquidity, and uncharted monetary policy. The Iraqi dinar, for all the hype, is utterly illiquid on the global stage. You cannot walk into a major international bank and trade it freely. The Vietnamese dong, while more accessible, is prone to the kind of central bank interventions and sudden swings we just analyzed. Moving away from the dollar often means jumping from the well-lit, heavily policed main street of global finance into the darker, less predictable alleyways of emerging market currencies. The promise is independence. The price is instability. So, what is your path forward in this fragile, shifting system? This is where we separate actionable strategy from dangerous fantasy. If your goal is to protect wealth or seek prudent growth, the playbook is not found in exotic currency speculations. It is found in timeless principles, updated for this new era of uncertainty. First, diversify, but do it wisely. This doesn't mean buying physical dinar notes from a website. It means considering assets that historically hold value when confidence in fiat currencies wavers, a portion in physical gold or silver, which central banks themselves are stockpiling at a record pace, allocations to high-quality, multi-currency bond funds, or shares in large, globally diversified companies that earn revenue across the world. Second, seek cash flow, not just price appreciation. In a volatile system, assets that generate steady income, like dividend-paying stocks from essential industries or certain types of real estate, provide an anchor. They pay you to wait out the storms. Third, and most importantly, understand the narrative weapon. You have now seen firsthand how a complex, nuanced global process, the slow rebalancing of monetary power, is repackaged into simple, emotionally charged stories of life-changing wealth. Your greatest shield is not a secret tip, but a disciplined mindset. Be the skeptic. Ask who benefits from the story you're being told. Demand primary sources, central bank statements, IMF reports, credible financial news, not third-hand interpretations from anonymous gurus. This brings me to my final, most important point for you. The real currency shift of our time is not happening on a trading screen. It's happening in the marketplace of information. The shift is from trusting easy answers to valuing rigorous analysis. It's from chasing the dopamine hit of a potential jackpot to building the quiet, compounding confidence of informed decision-making. Your financial security in the years ahead will depend less on guessing the right currency code and more on your ability to filter signal from noise. So here is my direct call to action for you. If this deep dive made you rethink everything you thought you knew about the dinar, the dong, and the dollar's dominance, then you have felt the power of context. Your next step is to turn the feeling into a habit. I want you to act on this right now. First, hit the like button on this video. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is the kind of substantial, myth-busting content you want more of. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in the coming weeks, I'll be breaking down the truth behind other financial hype cycles, from sovereign bonds to the next. Can't miss. Commodity, giving you the tools to see through the smoke. And third, and most crucially, I want you to start a conversation. Go down to the comments section and tell me, after hearing this breakdown, what is the one financial headline or investment promise you are now looking at with completely new eyes? Let's build a community of critical thinkers, not hopeful followers. The global financial landscape is changing. Don't just watch the shifts happen. Understand them. Arm yourself with knowledge. That is the only revaluation that is truly guaranteed to pay off.